first ever Zoom call. Oh, I can see Nick. He looks great.
Look at that.
What a studio setup. Nick, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Oh, dude. Nice.
Look at us. Who would have thought?
Yes.
Not me.
Bo Wegman,
See, I can see
Bob.
I can see now if Mario's locked into what I'm saying though. So like I'm gonna, he's got to make sure that he's at least acting behind the boards there, so I can see what they're doing back there.
You see that, Martin? No slap in your face like you were doing during our top 10 quarterback conversation earlier today. I saw you literally slapping your face to stay awake. You got to stay engaged here. Hell yeah, Nick. Thank you so much for bearing with us, for being our guinea pig, as you are our first ever video guest here inside the Mercedes-Benz Studio Dome. Studio Dome? What am I even talking about? I don't even know. I'm excited. I'm excited. Nick, what's up, dude? Before we get into football, you're a grinder. You never take vacation. You took your first vacation in seemingly years. How was Europe, dude? I saw you outside the Louvre in Paris. What all did you get into?
Yeah, it was cool, man. Just being out there, kind of, being in France, I think kind of heightens the understanding of like Louisiana in general. Like a lot of the architecture and stuff is kind of the same. So you see where some of the flavors coming from. And we stopped in Rome, like seeing the Colosseum and stuff that was there. Like BC is just kind of unbelievable, and it makes you realize how young America is. But look, I'm not going to lie. By the end of it, I was like kind of feeling stagnant and just kind of ready to get back into the grind. So I'm ready for camp. I'm excited to see what the Saints do. And we're 15 days away from day one of training camp. So it's coming quick.
Were you worried you were going to miss some like breaking news? Because anytime like you're out of the country or you're far away, maybe your phone's not working, maybe Twitter's going to blow up and you're going to miss it. It's crazy to say, Nick, but I always have a fear that I'm going to miss like some breaking news because that's just the way that our world kind of works now.
Yeah, so I had two phones with like the international thing. So I had like the main phone and the backup in case one went down. So extreme paranoia there. And thankfully, like my wife understands like who I am and kind of like, all right, I need to take like 5 minutes every hour just to make sure like the world's not blowing up. And she's extremely supportive. So I'm lucky there. But yeah, I mean, I definitely had that, every day you wake up and like the time difference is off. And it's like, oh my God, like I went to sleep and it was like 5 o'clock in New Orleans. Like, did they sign, some running back, something happened with Alvin? So definitely every morning there was that period of panic.
Well, you know what? It actually worked out great, though. It has been a supremely slow Saints news cycle for the better, right? That's good. But you have a very interesting piece that just went up on New Orleans Football yesterday, and it involves Peyton Turner. And we were kind of talking about the Saints yesterday, and we were talking about how, it's interesting because a lot of these same injury questions from last year are kind of still lingering into camp. But one player who's not is Peyton Turner. As he announced that he was healthy recently, he's cleared to go. But there's not that much Peyton Turner chatter. Should there be more chatter? And what do you expect out of the former first-round pick this year?
I think there's not a lot of Peyton Turner chatter just because they're deep at that position, and it doesn't feel like he's a make-or-break player for them. Like, if they didn't get anything out of him just for this season, I don't know that it changes the whole outlook of the team. I'm not sure I'd lower my win total if you told me he was going to miss all 17 games, but I do think that he adds something to that group, and I think it's more of a down-the-line thing with him, too. You got Marcus Davenport coming up to the end of his contract. Cam Jordan's getting a little bit older, and we see his snap counts dropping each year. That percentage of snaps, he used to be above like 91, 92% every season. He's below 80% now. So I think if Peyton Turner comes in, he plays well, I think it alleviates some of those decisions. You aren't negotiating with Marcus Davenport with the weight of, what happens next on your back. And I think Cam gets to age a little bit more gracefully as that snap count goes down a little bit and the quality of snap stays high, but he doesn't have to play, every single play on defense. So I think it's huge, though. I mean, we saw really good things from him in that first Carolina game, and I thought his instincts in that game were a little bit different than even Marcus Davenport's were early on. You saw him kind of stacking some pass rush moves, and we did a film study of that game, and there was one pressure he got where he kind of like set up a spin move, and then off the next one, like he set up the spin move and had a fake and went off it, and you just kind of see like a understanding of how to rush the passer for a rookie player that's described as being raw, but he's not totally raw. Like, I think he understands how to play. I think he's continued to develop that mental aspect of his game behind the scenes, and not being on the field, I think hurts a little bit, but I do think he's going to be a good contributor early on for them.
All right, Nick, outside of quarterback in that group, first day of training camp, when you get out there, which group are you going to eye hustle the most?
I mean, I'm looking for 13 immediately.
Yep,
Like
yep.
as I'm walking out to the field, that's really like the only thing that kind of matters at this point. And I don't know what to make of these videos. We're all dissecting them like, oh, how is he planting and cutting? Like, is it a 90-degree angle or is it 70? Like, is he letting off on this a little bit? But the thing for me with Mike is that he's posting these videos, which tells me Mike feels good about what he's doing. And if Mike has confidence in what he's doing, I kind of got to think that things are heading the right direction more so than, the other thing I do, these videos come out and I look up all the doctors on Twitter that, kind of like study this stuff. And there's one guy saying, oh, he's screwed. There's another guy, oh, it looks really good right now. And then there was one doctor after one video that thought he was in trouble and now he thinks he's in a good place. So it's all kind of just noise at this point, but that's all we got with Mike. But yeah, I think that's group one I'm looking at. I think there's a lot on the running backs too, though. I mean, we kind of got to see what's going to happen behind Alvin. If Alvin gets suspended, that legal process has to play out. There was somebody, I don't know who did it, and I hate to not say their name when I'm talking about their work, but someone did a good breakdown of that kind of all the different scenarios. And it kind of feels like, sort of what we've been talking about on here for the last few months. If the video doesn't come out, it probably just stays stalled until the legal process plays out. But I do think they need to figure out some things there. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be huge in the passing game for them, for the running backs, but they do need to have consistent running to set up that play action, take the pressure off, and all that stuff. And I'm not sure that there's a sure thing answer behind Mark Ingram at this point.
Yeah, and look, on Michael Thomas, I completely agree. Like, will he be available for first day of camp? It's been the target. If it's not, it's going to cause panic. We'll wait and see. One guy that is coming off a major injury, Nick, that I'll just speak for myself, I feel like I've kind of taken for granted, is Marcus May, right? Coming off of an Achilles. The last article you wrote pre-vacation, or maybe you actually did it while you uploaded it while you're at the Louvre, was about the Saints revamped secondary this year, right? And so much of that is Tyrann Mathieu, but a healthy amount of that is Marcus May as well. I don't, the DWI thing is what it is. We'll see what happens there. But in terms of health, where should our heads be at with a guy coming off of an Achilles injury?
I kind of feel good about where he's going because we saw a little bit during minicamp and OTAs, him participating in walkthroughs and then some of the less competitive stuff. He was working out in the end zone. You saw him running. He seemed to be moving okay. There wasn't anything that popped out like that seemed alarming. And you got all that evidence moving forward in the right direction. And as you mentioned, the DWI, like it's probably likely he's going to miss a handful of games to start the beginning of the season. So there's a pretty long runway there until they absolutely need him on the field. But I think things are going to be fine with him. And, the practice time matters, though. I think that's a big deal with trying to revamp that secondary. Like him and Tyrann got to get used to seeing the field and get used to how the other guy sees the field and communicating. And then who's handling, some of that conversation with the other players in the secondary, getting the cornerbacks lined up and all that. And they got to learn how to play off of one another. So getting that time now, I think, is extremely important. And I don't think that you want to be going through that process necessarily in week 4 when, things are live. So it is important, but I do think that one is heading in the right direction.
Pete Werner is a player that I want to ask you about here, Nick. Obviously, weak side linebacker. They don't bring Quan Alexander back. And Pete Werner actually flashed a lot last year. Certainly a young football player still. Looks like he's ahead of where Zach Bond, who's kind of more played strong side linebacker. Like, what are you expecting from him this year? Because they're kind of betting on him, not bringing Quan back, not bringing another veteran player in. Are they expecting big things from that position?
I feel like I might get canceled in Baton Rouge here if I'm totally honest about how I feel about the linebacker and not bringing Quan back and everything. Look, I thought it was kind of you draft a guy in the second round, you got to let the second rounder play. And I thought last year even bringing Quan back was maybe something that didn't need to happen. I thought he had good moments. I thought he played well in spurts. I think that his range and everything is great. But I think Pete Werner showed that he deserves that opportunity to have that job, to be the lead guy there. And even if they were at some point to say, okay, well, Quan doesn't have any offers from anybody right now, can he come back on the league minimum or something? I think he should be behind Pete Werner until Pete Werner relinquishes that position. You're a better team if your second round pick is beating out this guy that just doesn't have a job in the NFL right now. So I thought we saw it specifically in the run game. I thought he was a lot better. I thought he was more disciplined than Quan in the run game. I think Quan probably had the upper hand in some passing plays. Just that range is elite, but it's not like Pete Werner's a soft share. He's like a 4-5 guy. He's got really good instincts, sees the field well, puts himself in really good position. We just need to see more of it at this point. But I agree with their approach, basically to kind of give that job to Pete Werner and let Quan see what other opportunities are out there for him.
Yeah. Look, NewOrleans.football is the site, y'all, okay? And camp is 2 weeks away. And if you want to be locked in on everything going on with the Saints throughout the season, you want to go sign up for NewOrleans.football today. I just re-upped my membership for another year. It is so worth it, y'all. Go ahead and do that. Nick, last one here. What's been your reaction to the continued Tyrann Mathieu effect, right? Having kids camps throughout the city, already starting to provide like the opportunity that he's talked about. Was on IG Live the other day talking about maybe wearing number 5 for the 5th ward. And as you pointed out on Twitter, right, he's always worn 3-2 for the 5th ward. 3 + 2 = 5. We, were the Tyrann Mathieu fanboys originally. You are now covering him for the first time. What's your view of what he's done so far?
I just think he's a really good person. And look, like being at that camp, I thought that camp was really, you got a guy that like came from the city, kind of went through some trying times, outlasted them. And, he's standing before them in front of these kids is an example of, we can come from the same place. You can get to where I'm going. Like, I think having those positive examples from the community, being there in the community, being that example is extremely important. And, beyond that, just the way he treats people, the way he communicates with teammates, the way he talks to people like us, like he's just a good person who seems to really have his values in place and understands who he is and, the position he holds in the community, and he doesn't take it for granted. So, off the field, I think the impact is huge. I mean, he was already doing a lot of this stuff when he was playing other places, but I think it just hits a little bit different when, the kids are looking up and it's a guy playing for the Saints, and, that's their dream right there, and it's real, and it's 2 feet away and they can touch it and talk to it. And, I think all that stuff's just really cool to see.
Yeah, so full disclosure, I think our team's meeting is about to end. We'll continue to work out the kinks here, and we're on a timer here. So Nick, we're gonna let you go. Great work. Thank you so much for being our first ever video guest. We're gonna do plenty more of this in the future. Sign up for NewOrleans.football today. Nick, have a great day, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
There you go, Nick Underhill at Nick_Underhill on Twitter.